Very many Kenyans know of an incident in 1975 when Martin Shikuku was arrested within Parliament buildings. In total disregard to parliamentary privileges and immunities. But if you ask Kenyans there were two MPs who were arrested. If you ask Kenyans who the other MP was, very few people know who he is, who he was. The other person was Marie Seroney, or if you want to call it in the English way, Marie Seroney. I have been called by Parliamentary Service Commission to give evidence on various issues, and I was told that during that period I enjoyed the immunity and privileges. It meant that when you are within the compound of the parliament, or if the parliament is holding its session in a hotel or such a place, and you're within that compound, whatever you say, whatever you do, you will not be criminally or what do you call the other one? You are not liable for any prosecution, whether it is as a crime or somebody can sue you in your private capacity. You have that privilege. But the people who enjoy that most is the MP, because whenever they are there, whatever they do, the privilege can only be waived if the parliamentary committee, which was not there that time, but now we have a parliamentary committee for privileges, if it sits down and feels that whatever you are doing, they can suspend or remove the privileges for you. Also, the speaker can also do that. This covers things such as, there are crimes you can commit within parliament. You can even take a gun and shoot another person, isn't it? That does not mean that you'll not be charged with murder. So the privileges committee and the speaker, they review the things and see if whatever you did had anything to do with the parliament. And if it did not, then your immunity and privileges is suspended. So it is them who can now order the police to come within parliament and arrest you. But one and the only time that such a thing was happened was in 1975, where Martin Shikuku had said in parliament that people who killed Kanu were busy trying to kill the parliament. People are actually, the actual word was, people are trying to kill the parliament the way they had killed Kanu. Then Kihika Kimani, the father to Honorable Governor, Kihika Kimani stood up on a point of order and asked the then Deputy Speaker, Marie Seroney, to ask the member who was Joseph Martin Shikuku. He asked for the member to substantiate or withdraw the statement that there are plans to kill Parliament the way they had killed Kanu. And Marie Seroney answered by saying that he answered by saying that you cannot substantiate the obvious. Then that day, the parliament was surrounded, and Jean-Marie Seroney, being the deputy speaker, asked the then speaker, Mr. Fred Marty, to provide security for him, because it was obvious that police officers were waiting for him outside there to arrest him. But of course his comments were ignored. Not only ignored, but the police officers now left the gates and entered into the parliament, and the two were arrested and detained. I wanted to start that way so that you know about him, where he was born, where he was all his life. Jean-Marie Seroney was born on 27th July 1927 under the name Eric Kipketer. Eric Kipketer Arab Seroney. That is his real name. He was born in Kapsabet. That is the name that he was born in. And he was a son to Reuben Seroney, who was both a teacher and a preacher with the African Inland Mission, AIM. Africa Inland Mission, around 1969, late 60s, changed their name to Africa Inland Church, just the way we had CPK, Church of the Province of Kenya, which changed its name to ACK, Anglican Church of Kenya. So AIM, Africa Inland Mission, changed its name in the late 60s to African Inland Church, AIC. Reuben Seroney, the father to Jean-Marie Seroney, was posted to Surungai African Inland Mission. For those of you who know where I come from Luandeti, next to Surungai. So Surungai is at the border of Uasin Gishu and Kakamega. So he used to teach and preach at Surungai African Inland Mission. But he tended to disagree with the senior pastor of the AIM, who was a British. I've forgotten the name of that British. They disagreed on, that thing is there in all churches even up to today. How do you integrate the African culture with the Christian beliefs? So he had issues with the Nandi culture, integrating it with Christianity. So the Mzungu talked to the headquarters, and he was transferred far away to Kapsawar. Kapsawar is in Elgeyo Marakwet, and the areas that he used to cover both as a preacher and a teacher went all the way to Kapsabet, and that is how in 1938 he taught Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi. He was one of the teachers who taught Daniel Arap Moi. So Reuben Seroney, the father to Jean-Marie Seroney, taught Daniel Arap Moi in Baringo in 1938. Back to Jean-Marie Seroney, he joined Alliance High School from 1941 to 1944. And among his teachers was the famous Carrie Francis. Carrie Francis taught him at Alliance High School. After completing Alliance High School in 1944, he scored a Division 1 in Cambridge examination. Now, for those of 844, Division 1 is equivalent to an A. Division 2 is equivalent to a B. Division 3 is equivalent to a C. And Division 4 is equivalent to a D. So he scored a Division 1, which in 844 we can say it was an A. He went to Makerere University College. Makerere University College was a constituent college of University of East Africa. University of East Africa had 3 but by this time it had 2 campuses. It had Dar es Salaam University and Makerere. Later on, the Royal Technical College changed its name to University of Nairobi, but it was also part of East Africa, University of East Africa. So at Makerere University College, he got a Bachelor of Arts, second class degree honors. From there, he went to the University of Allahabad in Uttar Pradesh in India, where he got a degree in law. A degree in law is called LLB. And he got an LLB first class. He went for, Kenya, we have Kenya School of Law, isn't it? Where after graduating with the law, you go to Kenya School of Law for a postgraduate diploma in law. So that one, he went to the University of London, where he was called to the bar as a barrister. He was the 3rd Kenyan to graduate in law. The first Kenyan to graduate in law was Arkwin Kothek from Game Yala in Siaya. He died a few meters from Yaya Center along Arkwin Kothek Road. If you see the video I've recorded about him, I've shown the place where Arkwin Kothek died. The second Kenyan to graduate with law was Charles Njonjo, and from Kiambu. And the third one was Jean Marie Seroney. He came back to Kenya and was made a legal assistant in the Registrar General. That was 1957. And then 1956. In 1956, he was a legal assistant in the Registrar General's office, 1956. In 1957, he was made a public prosecutor. And then in 1958, he applied and was registered as a lawyer in the LSK, Law Society of Kenya. Those who know the history of Law Society of Kenya, it started in 1948. So within 10 years, that is 1958, he applied and was admitted as a member of the Law Society of Kenya. Immediately he was registered as a member of the Law Society of Kenya. He resigned from public service and started private practice. During the famous Mboya airlift, you know, Tom Mboya and Jaramogi Oginga both competed in taking Kenyans out. You can find that Jaramogi did not both of them did not keep themselves among Luos. They took nationally. But you can find a person like Kamodo, J.J. Kamodo was taken to Russia by Jaramogi. So you find that the two Luo leaders took people out from all tribes. But Seroney used that opportunity, especially Tomboya's airlift, where he helped many Nandi youths. I'm not saying many Kalenjin youths, I'm saying many Nandi youths to go to participate in Mboya's airlift. In 1961, he contested for Legico. The National Assembly then was called Legislative Council. He contested the Legislative Council for Nandi. The whole of Nandi County today was one constituency. Remember, previously the whole of Rift Valley was one constituency represented by Daniel Toroitich arap Moi. But each and every district had its own MP and a member of the Legislative Council, Legico. So the member for Legico from 1961 to 63 was Jean Marie Seroney. Then 1963, Nandi was divided into several constituencies, and he represented Nandi North from 1963 to 1966. Then 1966, again, the constituencies were subdivided more. So in 1966, he was the MP for Tinderet between 1966 and 1975, when he was detained, as I've said before, and I will say it in detail later in this video. He was in the Lancaster conference, and in 27th November 1963, him together with Taita Towet and William Murgor, they defected from Kadu to Kanu. This really annoyed Moi. But that was in 1963, just a week or so before independence. You remember that time Moi was the national chairman of Kadu. Then in 27th July 1969, there was this Nandi Hills Declaration. Nandi Hills Declaration, it was like this. It was declaring that those who stay within Nandi lands, especially Europeans, should surrender their lands to the original owners of the land as soon as possible. He was taken to court and fined 6,000 shillings. Those days, 6,000 shillings was a lot of money. I want now to talk about his differences with Moi, but before saying that, there is something I had forgotten, which I'll say. I said that he was born Eric Kipketer Arap Seroney. His father, as I've said, was a teacher and a preacher with African Inland Church. So somewhere during his youth, he defected from his father's African Inland Church. Let me use the name that is nowadays used, AIC. He defected from his father's AIC into Catholic. And when he went to Catholic, he changed his name from Eric Kipketer, and he changed it to Jean Marie. Teresa. Jean Marie Teresa is, for those who are Catholic, you know about that. But he saw the name was too long, so he removed Teresa. And that was before going to Makerere. And then from there forever, he left the name Eric Kipketer and became Jean Marie Seroney. I had reached a place where he had differences with the vice president, who was Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi. Both the British and Jomo Kenyatta preferred Arap Moi as the leader of the Kalenjin for the mere reason that Moi had lower education, Form 2, and Seroney, you can see he had 2 degrees, Bachelor of Arts, and he had Bachelor of Law plus postgraduate diploma in law. And at that time, the Kalenjins preferred Seroney. There was even a time around 1974 when he threatened that he would leave a stooge in Tinderet and he would go to Baringo Central and contest against Moi, and surely he would win. And I can authoritatively say that if he would have done that, he would have floored Moi. And as I said, Kenyatta and the British preferred Moi because of less education, and also, you know, Kikuyus had also settled in Rift Valley, and they did not want somebody who was that militant. So there was always that power struggle. You can even see today, Rigiji, by the way, Rigiji comes from my place, Madeira West. Rigiji is the title ahead of Mount, but if the truth has to be spoken or talked, the mountain is for Didi Nyoro. So that is, I'm trying to tell you, people of today, that is the same scenario that was there, that the Rift Valley or Kalenjin were for Jean Marie Seroney, but not Moi, who was the vice president. That was his differences. And then we had the elections of 1975. When the 1974, it was October 1974, if I'm not wrong. It was in October 1974 when there was the elections, and Seroney and Moi patched up a bit because Seroney had even went to Moi to campaign to be the deputy speaker, and Moi sided with Seroney, and Seroney was elected the deputy speaker of the National Assembly. But Kenyatta, the president, was not happy, and Kenyatta really delayed. Actually, the meeting where Seroney was campaigning to be the deputy speaker happened on 17th November 1974, and it was organized by Peter Boit. He was elected as deputy speaker, and then Kenyatta delayed the opening of parliament up to 5th February 1975. That is when the parliament was open, and that is the genesis of, you find that nowadays, you know, some things start small and zinaenda kabisa. That is how it started, that nowadays you find the parliament is opened very late. That is when it started. Shortly after, you know, that is 5th February. And less than a month later, J.M. Kariuki was killed. And I've already gone public on how J.M. Kariuki was killed. So they started the Parliamentary Select Committee on J.M.'s death. The chairman was Elijah Waske Okwamwangale, vice was Mark Mwithaga, and secretary was Jean Marie Seroney. Then it happened, you know, any member of that committee was not a friend of Jomo Kenyatta, and by extension Moi. Then it so happened that on 9th October 1975, while Martin Shikuku was giving a presentation to the parliament concerning, I can't remember the issues, there was a lot of points of orders and whatever, and Martin Shikuku said, these people are trying to kill the parliament the way they had killed Kanu. Kiika Kimani, the father to the governor, Susan Kiika, stood on a point of order and asked the Deputy Speaker, Mr. Honorable Deputy Speaker, sir, can the member substantiate or withdraw his allegation that some people want to kill Parliament the way they killed Kanu? Then the Deputy Speaker said, he was on the chair, Marie Seroney said, you cannot substantiate the obvious. Then the leader of government businesses, Daniel Arap Moi, stood up and said, if Kanu is dead, then I am dead, and walked out. That is when both Marie Seroney and Joseph Martin Shikuku were aware that the police had surrounded the parliament and they were waiting for them to arrest them. They decided not to leave parliament. Then at 6:30 p.m. sharp, the police entered the parliament, and in full glare of cameras, they arrested the two, and Marie Seroney was detained for 1,155 days. There is a coincidence here I want you to see. JM. We have Josiah Mwangi, Karaoke, JM Karaoke. Joseph Martin Shikuku, JM Shikuku. Marie Seroney, JM Seroney. He was detained for 1,155 days. There's a list. There's Sijeyo, there is Martin Shikuku. All political detainees were released on 12th December 1978, immediately after Jomo Kenyatta died and Moi became the president. He was released among them. And then after that, he went, there was a small, truce between him, because when he was released, Moi was the president and he knew where power was. He went to Kabarak home of Moi. They became friends. They said, Sawi Aliopita, thank you for releasing me from whatever. You went your jogo, ABCD, whatever. And then he told Moi that he wanted his seat back, the seat of Tinderet. And Moi said, no problem, I'll campaign for you. Within a week, Baringetunyi went out campaigning for Henry Koskei for Tinderet seat. And when Moi was asked whom does he support among the two, Moi declared publicly that he supported Henry Koskei. Elections were held, even with all government propaganda or government machinery, everything. Seroney won the elections, but he was rigged out openly. The rigging that was happening, and he went and shouted, you know, we have those large stones, Mwamba, like where I come from. You can stand on top of that, shout yourself, you'll hear the echo coming 20 times, but nothing will happen. And so he went that way. His detention and subsequent life made him to be a very poor person. He later died a very poor person. That is the story. Half an hour's narration I could talk for 3 hours, but half an hour about this great Kenyan hero. Thank you.